We ain't doing that.
Okay, so in my house we don't do sleepovers. And at some point I started thinking, are you being unnecessarily um sensitive? Are you
Right.
being insensitive?
Right.
And then there was something my daughter said that, Mom, you don't ever allow me do sleepovers, and even when you follow me to my friends' parties, you stay there till,
You hover.
yeah, you stay there till the party is over. You say that you don't want me to have my freedom.
Wow.
I just can't
Wow.
wait to be an adult and things
Wow.
like that.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. It's good to be on your screens again.
Yeah.
And with me we have
Ayo.
and
Voila.
okay, how have you guys been?
Good.
Good.
It's pretty cold out there, but apart from that, I'm okay.
Did you say pretty cold?
Oh, sorry.
It is extremely
It is
cold.
extreme. It's brutally cold.
I had to ask myself.
I was trying to be as positive and breezy as I could, but apparently not.
No,
Yeah.
yesterday I asked myself, what made you move here? It was a sincere question. I was in pains.
Valid.
For God's sake.
So when I was on my way here this morning, I had some stuff I was carrying, and I had apparently left them in the car since about 2 days ago.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, okay, let me move them in. And then before I knew it, I never knew that cold could burn hands.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah.
My hands were burning.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was like a lot, and I started asking, I started questioning a lot of things.
Oh yeah, that's why you
Like-
put up that post about
Yeah,
how
I
much
was
was the
like,
flight ticket
I'm
cost. out of
telling
here.
you, I just needed
Yeah,
to get.
yeah.
The only thing that came to my mind was, God, I need the next flight ticket to Nigeria. Let me just.
I
I don't
know.
blame you, girl. I don't blame you. But we're gonna jump right into the video, right?
Alright.
Let's get straight to business.
Okay.
So today we're gonna be talking about gentle parenting.
Mm-hmm.
I would start with the Google definition of gentle parenting. It says a parenting style that focuses on helping children become more self-aware, confident, and independent.
Okay.
Ayo, do we start with you? What do you think?
Well,
What do you understand by gentle parenting?
I believe I have researched that a little bit myself, and in addition to the things you mentioned, there's a part where it emphasizes the fact that it's not gentle parenting involves bringing out the empathetic side of discipline, where a child is not made to feel sad or bad or useless, quote unquote, or So it's like empathizing with a child, right? It's like the way you can build up a child in the space of discipline instead of making them feel less of themselves.
Okay.
So that's one component, because most times when we think gentle parenting, I think we're thinking, oh, spanking the kid and all of that.
Prior to now, that's what I thought.
Right. So apparently there's more to it. It's the kind of, it's almost like if I'm talking to you and I'm talking down on you, it puts you in a space versus if I'm talking to you and I'm building you up in a certain way, right? So that's one component that I think I really like, beyond the obvious, oh, don't spank a child, whatever. But I just wanted to add that in there so that we have all the cards on the table as we navigate the subject.
Yeah, what do you think?
Okay, so for gentle parenting, at some point, when I had my first baby, I wasn't so firm, because I thought if I was being too firm, it might be affecting the baby's self-esteem.
Gotcha.
And then it wasn't really going to help him to be able to like open up to me.
Right.
But then after about, when it was like 5 years, I realized that he wasn't listening to me anymore.
Wow.
And then if I correct him about something, he takes it with levity, and then it just wasn't taking me seriously. And then I had to like adjust the way I was speaking.
Right.
I wasn't yelling, but I was trying to be firm, because I realized that the dad who doesn't like take shit from him, sorry to use the shit word, whenever he gives like just a warning or don't do this,
Yeah.
it goes straight to it. But if it was me, I have to repeat myself over 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think there are pros and cons to these things. We just need to be able to balance it
Right.
as parents.
Yeah,
Right.
I also think moderation is part of it. But then again, let's not shy away from the fact that with kids, when it comes to their parents, I think we were talking about it this morning with someone, and I was like, when it comes to a child and a parent, they
Right.
tend not to listen,
Mm.
or they tend to take it, yeah. But when they're in school, I find it's totally different.
Yes.
With my youngest, like when I talk to him, the guy would look at me in the face and be like, you talk again, and he's not even listening to you. I don't know if it's the age, to be honest, because he's 2, he's about to be 3. But then again, I used to think gentle parenting was okay, not having to yell, not having to spank your child,
Right.
not having to, things like that. Until I read about it and I saw it had to do with building the child's confidence.
Right.
I grew up with a low self-esteem.
Right.
I just couldn't deal with certain things. I never felt I was up to par and things like. And that's one thing I talked to my first about, because I find he's on the shy side,
Right.
and if you're a little overpowering
Mm.
in your conversation with him, he tends to just go into that shell and
Yeah.
crawls back in,
Right.
and then he would just not say anything
Right.
again.
Right.
But when we say gentle parenting in the spanking aspect, I think I tried it. Guys, it was an epic fail. I yelled. Like, my sister said to me, "Oh, this is day 1, right? Tell me how day 3 goes." Guys, I lost it at day 1. I'm not even joking.
Day 0.5.
And this is us being sincere. I yelled because I was like, are you guys even listening to me?
Mm.
That's the gentle parenting side that I have always known.
Right. Right.
How do you cope with gentle parenting in this part of the world? How do you deal with that? Because that's a whole conversation on its own. We have
Right.
laws that says don't spank
Right.
your child. It's not allowed. How do you gentle parent a child that they listen?
Right. I think listening is born out of respect and trust. If a child knows that this woman, who is my mother, has my best interests at heart, I feel like they will listen. But that might play out for slightly older kids, right?
Exactly,
That's what I
because
was going
someone
to
that
say.
is 2,
Right.
he would not even understand.
Right,
Yes.
right. But at the young age, there's a firmness you have to introduce, right? The younger age. And it could be your tone, it could be no, it could be the frequency at which you say it. So if a child is constantly doing something wrong and you let it slide once or twice and you come the 5th time and say no, they're like, who are you? But if there's a consistency to it that makes gentle parenting super easy, in my opinion. If you're very consistent and you're very firm, a child will know. A light maybe spank on the hand, if the child is like constantly dipping her hand in something that could hurt her, like say no, like maybe a light.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be aggressive. Like we don't have to become monsters.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to get to even abuse.
Right, to
But then
abuse.
what I have to say again about gentle parenting is that I think the 2 parents have to agree. Because
Right.
there's this thing that the
Right.
kids do. They kind of like understand how mom thinks.
Right.
And then when mom says no, they secretly go behind mom
Right.
To go meet dad.
ask dad for the same thing they've asked their mom.
Mm.
And then without dad's consent, it
Right.
gives his own consent and be like, okay, yes, you can have it. Maybe they've had a lot of chocolate
Right.
earlier, daddy wasn't in, and then they know I wasn't going. They like deep down inside them, they know mom will say no. The next thing they do is go upstairs and say, Dad, can I have chocolate? And they'll be
Right.
like, oh, you've not had chocolate, you can just have it,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So these children as well know how to play on our minds.
Oh yeah.
So we just have to agree on
Right.
things or ask each other, what do you think about this?
I really like.
So they don't
I really
play on
like
our
that.
intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I can quickly add to that, I'm sorry I interrupted you
Yeah,
there.
that's okay.
It also preserves the parent, because when the child knows mommy is going to yell, you're like the monster
Mhm.
parent, and then daddy is the safe place. We don't want to create that in a home, right?
Yes.
We don't want a child to see one parent as the devil and one parent as, oh, the angel with all the
Yeah.
nice cute butterflies. We don't want that. So amazing point that you have brought up. There has to be some
Communication
communication
between both
and a
Yes.
plan right from the get go. Like, how do we want to discipline our child? So
Mhm.
important point. I love that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what myself and my husband did, because we needed to have that balance. So
Right.
we had the conversation, just us two, to say, if A comes to meet you,
Right.
you need to ask A, did you speak to mommy?
Amazing.
And what did mommy say? And then you will have to uphold what mommy said.
Right.
So he knows it's coming from a place of love from both daddy and mommy.
Right.
The fact that mommy said no doesn't mean she doesn't like you.
Right.
You know, things like that. But gentle parenting is tough.
Oh Lord.
Honestly, it's tough.
Lordy, Lord.
Most especially when you have to unlearn some certain things
Exactly.
from how you grew up.
Right.
Because what we knew is definitely, we're trying to do things better. We're
Right.
being intentional parents now.
Yeah.
Hence why we're talking about gentle parenting.
Right.
Because it wasn't a thing of the past. It wasn't a thing I feel like our parents were so conscious about. They parented us the way they knew how to.
Too.
But right now, we're being conscious to do things their way and then improve on it,
Right.
make it better, you know, and because we're in a different world now, 21st century, it's different from the way they parented us back then.
Right.
So I feel like gentle parenting, I wouldn't say it wasn't there in the past, but we're now more self-aware about it as parents.
Right.
It's something we're trying to
because
implement
of our
more
experiences.
because of our experiences. Because to be honest, so many of us went through abuse. I'm not saying for myself, but like so many people went through abuse, and they're just trying as much as possible.
Can you clarify that abuse so it's clear for the viewers?
Oh,
Abuse in the form of maybe being
abuse in the form of
spanked,
being spanked,
not
like
scary, crazy abuse.
proper,
Yeah.
like no,
Okay,
not
so
that kind
let's
of
put
abuse.
that out
Yeah,
there.
no, but like abuse, like because right now we would call it abuse because the world where we live in or the country where we live in,
Yes.
it's called abuse.
doesn't accept such
Such.
treatment.
Back at home, I won't call it abuse because it's like
Being spanked,
it's,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
because it's more like a normal thing,
Right.
right? Yeah, in quotes, it's a normal thing.
But
And
do
I
you
feel
know
like
what my
it-
concern
yeah,
is?
okay.
My concern is we have, like, I have 3 children and they have 3 different personalities despite that I raised them in the same way.
Right.
Exactly.
So in that way, how do you make a balance? How do you create a balance? Because
Right.
there is one who is very gentle, there
Right.
is one
Mhm.
who is not gentle at all,
Yeah.
and there is one who is all over the place.
The
Right.
spicy
And then
one.
you're trying to like you're trying to build them up together
Yeah.
at the same time,
Yeah.
give them the same discipline,
Right.
but you have to be like firm with one, you have to
Right.
adjust with the other, you
Right.
have to be very gentle with one, you have to
Right.
be very firm with the other.
Right.
How do we strike a balance there?
I believe it's all about the value system, right? If the value system is solid, it's like there's no good stealing versus bad stealing. There's no good being mean to your sibling versus not being kind. Like there are some basics, right? And those basics come with the value system of the parents. So if you're Christians or whatever, there are just some basics. Thou shalt not lie. Don't like hurt someone, right? Don't let your love just
Be
love.
kind,
Be
yeah.
kind. Fruits of the Holy Spirit. Like there are some basics, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like irrespective of the personality, and I do acknowledge what you're saying because even for me as a mom, it was something I even had to pray about. Okay, I've disciplined A this way. How do I navigate B? Because I clearly see the personal differences. Where A might be more resilient, I can see that B, if I'm harsh with my words, B might feel less of a person.
Mhm.
I don't want that.
Emotional.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge that, right? But there are just some basics that makes everything okay. Don't lie. Don't just be a reasonable kid, right? Like if they know that okay, these are the things we don't do in our home. So every time I talk to my kids, I'm like, we don't do this in our home,
Yes.
right? Like something as little as maybe my son not wanting to take turns at school and he's stomping
Yeah.
his feet and being like folding his arms and being grumpy. I'm like, dude, irrespective of your personality, we just don't do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about one who likes to just
Test.
being on his or her own, and then the other one likes, like the other one is very playful,
Honest?
Right.
and then you're trying
Yeah.
to like make
Balance
this
it out.
person understand that this is how your brother or your sister is. You
Right.
need to like respect that.
Right.
So in that situation, the the other one who is very playful is feeling, why are you making me be like this person when I don't want to be this person, and then you're forcing me to be this person because this person is quiet. So it's like you're trying to like, it's now like favoritism.
Right.
Do you understand?
I get
So
where you're coming from.
it's a
I
whole
get where you're
lot.
coming from because in my
Parenting is a
first,
whole lot.
if you're not careful, one person will say, "Oh, you have more preferential treatment for your first
Right.
and the second." But
Right.
what I realized is I was able to build a balance across all three.
Right.
If
Okay.
my first does something wrong, I would correct you the same way I'm going to correct B and C.
Okay.
I'm going to correct you three the same way. Because I noticed if you don't do that, you're going to make one or two of them feel like, oh, mommy is always harsh on me.
Right.
And the other one feels like I can get away with anything because after all, she's not going to shout at me. She's not going to do this. She's not going to do that. But I think you need to create a balance across discipline or across your parenting style with all three kids. Right, you did this. We don't, just like what you said. There was a time my son did something at school. I think he said a word, and funny enough, he heard that word at a friend's house.
Okay.
And then he used it in school. I honestly had to Google the word because I'd never heard it before. That was it. But guess what? We had to talk about it. You are an Adewale. You don't do this. We don't do this.
It's a value system.
It's a value system.
Right.
Have you heard daddy say this before?
Right.
Did you hear mommy use this word before? It's not right.
Right.
You know? This movie you said you saw at a friend's house. When you told us you wanted to watch it at home, what did I say to you? Mommy, you said no. I have a reason why I said you can't see that movie because you're not of age to understand the words in that movie. You're not at that age to choose, to decide, right, this is the right word to say, this is not what to say. You know, things like that. So I think you just need to create a balance across all three. Parenting, discipline, and even how you care and love for all of them.
Right.
So one person doesn't feel like, oh, mommy,
Right.
you know, that balance is there.
Right. And personally, one thing I started to do when the kids started to grow a bit older was, if I'm looking at A and I'm saying, you did this, blah, 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 I just faced B right away, even though B did not do what A did. I'm like, and for you too, by the way. Don't stay there feeling, well, it's not me. If it's happened to A, it's only a matter of weeks before it happens to me. So right there in the moment of correcting A, I bring B in, like, don't sit there feeling all cozy with yourself. This applies to you as well. Got it? Good. We move.
Yeah.
So balance.
Yeah, balance
I
is
said
very
that to
key.
add to
Balance
the
is
balance
key.
point, yeah.
Communication is key
Yeah.
when it comes to gentle parenting. And then I saw this video on social media. I think a mom was trying to give something to her son. He
Okay.
was in a cart
Gotcha.
in the store, and then she was trying to give him something, and then he covered his face.
Oh wow.
They've been
Covered
raving.
in face like, I don't want it.
No, like
Like self-defense.
self-defense.
Gotcha.
Right.
Wow.
And that has been all over social media, right?
Okay.
Where conversations have been coming up of, has she been abusing the child before then?
Yeah.
You know, personally, I don't know how to take it because
tricky, yeah.
it's a tricky one because honestly, I think when I even got home, I also tried to, do it to my
Test
kids
it
to
out.
see, and on one or two occasions, my daughter has done that. It doesn't mean we're abusing her or anything like
Yeah.
that. And then on the other occasion, she was like, "Mommy, stop it," So-
could it be just like
I don't know if
it's-
defense instinct?
Yeah.
Like a defense
It could
instinct. Like,
be.
is something going to hit me?
Yeah.
Or
or
could
I'm
it
just
be
trying to
that-
protect my, are you
Yeah.
trying to,
It's so tricky.
It's a tricky one.
It's a very tricky one, and we listen, we don't judge.
We-
right? If I can slide that in there, we listen, we don't judge, because we don't have the context, right?
Exactly.
I'm not one to
Yeah.
quickly judge a parent. Like, you haven't walked them,
in their
I'm
shoes.
in their shoes.
actually.
so I'm not one to
Yeah.
judge a parent. But I feel like the overall rule should be just love the child
Moderation.
and help moderation,
Yeah.
the balance,
Moderation.
right? And everything we do. So one scripture I started telling my kids is, even when they feel like, oh, I've messed up, mom is going to not like what I've done, I say there is no fear in love.
Yeah.
That's one scripture we say every day now. That even though you think you've messed up, understand that there is love here for you,
Yeah.
and that love casts out any fear you should have.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't mean that
It covers all sins.
it covers all
Yes.
sins, but that doesn't mean that you won't be held accountable.
Exactly.
If it's face the wall, go face the wall.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you have to do it, right? But I let them, so and that's why I started with the value system. When a child knows that, okay, this mom is in my corner. When I mess up, she's just trying to build me up, right? It does something to them. Of course, there's still those moments where, as a mom or dad, you yell, you say things that you don't want to say, and if I catch myself in those moments, I actually apologize. Like, I'm sorry,
Yes.
but do you mind not doing things this way? And then one other important component I find is, when you talk the child through whatever they've done, so that even in contexts where you're not there, they're able to self-direct themselves. I think it's important. So sometimes I ask them, okay, why did you do this? Do you think it was right? What should you have done better? So just eliciting those kind of like information from them, so that it puts them in a state of thought, right? They start to think, okay, what could I have done better? So that if I'm not even there, they can self-direct themselves, right?
Yes.
So just value system, let the child know that there's love at home, but be firm. Because we don't want to raise kids that are wild. The society is already the way it is these days. Everybody's sensitive. So it's
The world
tricky.
is even pushing
There was
things to
something
them.
that struck me when Fumi was talking about our son, and it's about sleepovers.
Oh
and
my
visiting
God! Don't get me
friends.
started there.
So
We ain't doing that.
okay, so in my house we don't do sleepovers, and at some point I started thinking, are you being unnecessarily sensitive? Are you
Right.
being insensitive?
Right.
And then there was something my daughter said that, Mom, you don't ever allow me do sleepovers, and even when you follow me to my friends' parties, you stay there till
You hover.
you stay there till the party is over. You say that you don't want me to have my freedom.
Wow.
I just can't wait to be an adult
Oh,
and
wow.
things like that.